We're talking with Charlie Garza. Hi, Charlie. How are you this afternoon?
Good. How are you?
Fine. And you're the State Board of Education representative for District 1 here in El Paso, and actually it goes from El Paso all the way down to, you were just telling me, San Antonio and parts unknown.
Sometimes you wonder.
So we were just having a conversation about House Bill 6, which has to do with the new, they've kind of taken the technology allotment and put it in with the textbook allotment, and they've made it one big allotment. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. The Constitution clearly says that when it comes to textbooks, that's the responsibility of the State Board of Education. Now, the beauty of that is the State Board of Education has a fund called the Permanent School Fund, commonly referred to the PSF. It is actually an endowment. That endowment, as of last month, has $25 billion, or the second largest endowment behind Harvard University.
Wow.
What makes that unique is that we can use that to fund, but here's the problem. We got a paradigm. Consider, if you will, you've got the state board right here, and you got the legislature over here. And for lack of it, or for analogy, it's somewhat like a divorced couple when the schools are stuck in the middle as the children.
They're not, and they're not talking to each other.
Bingo. Okay. We gave the legislature $500 million to fund textbooks.
So the State Board of Education, before the legislative session started, gave $500 million
for the express purpose of paying for textbooks.
And so what happened to that?
It got eaten up by the monster. When the base budget was announced, it was announced at $21 billion. We then funneled additional monies of $1.88 billion and $1.092 billion into it. So a total now of over $4 billion into the legislature. And that base budget of $21 billion, with that new insertion of money, is $21 billion. So I don't know about you, but my math is 21 plus 4 equals 25.
That's $25 billion. That's a big chunk of change there. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how this affects House Bill 6. Now, House Bill 6 takes all that textbook funds that you guys are in charge of, and then it also took the technology allotment, which was $30 per student, and it kind of makes it into one big, but probably it's going to be smaller than what both of them would have been together. Is that
hard to say? Here's what I do know. Okay, what I do know is that under the current base budget, there is zero funding for technology. This was a way to hopefully try to remedy the two, to where if the two came together, you could possibly solve that, and the state board then would pay for both.
Now, I know that you've also talked about, instead of just having physical paper textbooks, you're also allowing for electronic textbooks as well, e-text. Now, it seems to me, just being a technology kind of guy, that if you don't have something to read an electronic textbook with, it's kind of a useless, it's just bits and bytes. And so the electronic textbook, does the House Bill 6 allow for school districts to purchase equipment?
Not specific.
Okay.
Here's what the issue is. You may recall, I want to say 3-4 years ago, when the push was to put all testing online. And they were saying all schools must be on board by 2010, I think it was. That, of course, that deadline's been now passed. But that was a big push. At that point, a lot of schools invested in the infrastructure, in the wireless internet, in those type of things in order to meet the state mandate, which, like I said, has since kind of gone away. The thought process is twofold. Number one, a physical textbook, one, most kids don't carry it. Two, those that do carry it, parents complain that children's backs hurt because of
got a kindergartner with a 60-pound backpack,
Okay.
A 40-pound kid in a 60-pound backpack.
Bingo. And then three, we thought if we put it, for example, on CDs, which now looks to be the new venue that we're looking at, the cost drops from on average about $60 per book to about $24. So that's a significant savings. And when you multiply that by the number of students in Texas, that's a big savings. Now, put it in perspective. Of that $500 million given, the new estimate we're given is that if we go to a CD version as one offset, and assuming all schools do, which they won't, but assuming all schools do, the cost would be $60 million. So you see a significant savings right there. And to me, the difference they could go to the technology side pretty easily.
So it sounds to me like you guys are like doing like your due diligence and trying to save some money here, and you're trying to like throw some bones at the legislature and saying, here, you know, to save some money. Why are they hesitant?
Because as you see in any town hall you go to, everyone has their piece of the pie and wants their piece of the pie.
Right.
And clearly, no one wants to say, well, we're going to cut this part instead of this. My job is strictly to advocate for education, and that's what I'm going to do. And I will do that to ensure that we get funded to the maximum extent possible. And as I discussed before, I will lobby the legislature to ensure that we get the maximum amount of money requisite to ensure schools are funded properly.
So where are we at right now? We're here, it's March 19th, March 18th, March 19th. Where are we at right now as far as this goes?
Well, again, the money's already been allocated to the legislature. They already have the check's been canceled already. Okay, so that part's done. The second part is that we have to wait because the process has begun. Hearings began for the first time about 3 weeks ago, so hearings are still pretty fresh, and they've yet to decide any specific budget cuts in any area physically and amend the base budget whatsoever. My best guess is this won't happen until about June time frame. Unfortunately, by that time, you have some school budgets. They have to be online. So any guess done by any budget person on a school is just that, a guess.
Right.
Because they won't have any real figures to attach to. And more than likely, they'll have to go back in July and re-amend those figures and those allotments based on the information they get in June.
And so that's what's scaring the school districts right now anyway, is that
Absolutely.
they have to make their plans for next year, and they don't know what kind of monies they're going to have.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're trying to get this message out to people. You're trying to get the message out that the state board has dumped a whole chunk of change into the legislature. Legislature is playing politics with this money, I guess. Is that?
I would call it a step further. It's the old shell game, where you put it into one shell, you kind of shuffle the shells in a hurry, and they go, oh, it's missing. And that's the reality. But we can physically show you, and I can give you documents to tell you exactly what they were voted on, when the check was cut, and who it was sent to, and a letter from the Speaker of the House thanking us for the contribution we made. And clearly, why would the Speaker of the House give us a letter if the money was not there?
And so what we have to do as educators is to make sure that those funds that you've sent
Are dedicated.
Are dedicated to what they were sent for. So what happens if they're not? What's the game plan then?
That's the problem. The Constitution clearly says the only body that can fund is the legislature. So we need to be asking right questions and smart questions and asking how to fund things and to what extent we fund them. And not just saying generically don't cut, but saying we know the money's here. Why aren't you adding that to the initial allotment allocated?
Right.
That's the question we should be asking.
Okay, Charlie Garza, State Board of Education, District 1. I got it. It's not an area. It's a district.
It's a district.
If somebody's interested and they need to get a hold of you for more information, how do they do that?
They can go to my website, and that is carloscharliegarza.com, and on there is a place where you can contact me personally, and I will be able to contact you back.
Thank you so much for taking some time to talk to us. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.